Hi, this is Doug Zangar. I'd like to welcome you to Logic 10 and one of its new features, Flex Pitch. Flex Pitch is an augmentation of Flex Time that we received in Logic 9. So in Logic 10, Apple just keeps on giving. Great feature, nice inclusion into the program. Take a look at it in this series, get you good and familiar with it. So one thing that I would recommend is in Preferences, Advanced Tools, make sure Show Advanced Tools is enabled. And you'll get a few more features. If you don't have this set up, your look will be a little different than mine. All right, let's go ahead and close this out. Now, if I want to enable Flex View, I need to use this button up here. I can also use Command F. Note that it just enables view, doesn't turn flex mode on and off. And you're going to see my audio tracks now jump to a showing of flex information. We have a pop-up menu here. You can see this one's selected polyphonic. So if you want to assign all of the audio tracks to the same flex mode, hold down the Shift key. So I'm going to go hold down the Shift key, select Flex Pitch, release the mouse, release the Shift key, and they've all been assigned to Flex Pitch. Now these buttons here, we can enable or disable Flex for the entire track. And once Flex is turned on, it does the whole track. You have no choice. We can turn it off. Remember, this is non-destructive editing. So you can turn it on and off, revert to your original, right? Before and after flex editing, whether it's flex time or flex pitch. And also remember that at this stage, at least in flex pitch, it works only on monophonic material. So we have our audio tracks, we have the tracks enabled, and now let's talk about on the region level. I'm going to go over here, select this region right here, and you can see I have a flex checkbox. And this is true for all my regions as I go through them. It doesn't matter which one. You can disable it once it's been enabled per region. That's your choice. Here's a region with flex disabled, region that is showing flex. So flex enabled, over here, flex disabled here, view changes. All right, so we've got that. Additionally, as you can edit flex pitch in the work area, you've got a couple of things here in your, let me go ahead and select and let me take the mute off here. We've got this track here in the track parameters. You've got some format information. We'll talk about that as we get into this. So we're able to edit flex pitch in the work area. We can also edit it in much greater depth within the audio editor. And this is now you have the audio track and the audio file tabs. So if you haven't got your Show Advanced Tools enabled, you won't have the file tab, you just have the track tab here, nor will you have these items over here. So here we've got actually an inspector. And if you're not familiar yet with Logic 10, you have hide local inspector, show local inspector. That's where it's at. And this allows you to do some global, or per what selection, I should say, editing here. And then within your editor here, we've got a number of choices here. And we're going to explore all that. And you have Flex View enabled on and off within this editor. So that's kind of the layering on it. You need to enable it up here to view it. You need to enable it per track or per region so that when you're editing it, either in the work area or down here in your audio track editor, you've got your information that you need to edit. See you on the next video. Hope you got a basic tip or two out of this one, and we'll have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. In this video, I'm going to talk about formants, get a little explanation of them. So if I enable a track, let's just talk about this for a second. Well, we've got view enabled. Let's go ahead and enable this track. And over in our area over here, we have formant track and formant shift. Formant track says how often do I mark the formants? And in the little bit I've been playing around with this, I can't notice a big difference on the material I've been working with, but it may be that you will find some material to do that. Formant shift says, hey, do I ignore this or do I shift this all? Remember, these things are going to be global for this track, entirely on this track. So all regions affected on this track, no other track. Each track has its own parameters right here. So before I do the audio demonstration, let's talk about this. I'm going to disable flex again. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit and take a look at this. When we look at our standard waveform display here, you've got your zero crossing line actually right here, and then above this line is positive energy, and below the line is the negative energy. Well, it tells us, when the sound started, when it ended, how loud it is based on amplitude, but it doesn't tell us anything about pitch. It Doesn't tell us anything about harmonics. So I've opened this up in the, speaking of Ghost of Software Past here, Soundtrack Pro, because it has its frequency spectrum analyzer view here. And this is the same audio file, but shown as frequencies. So we've got this, and you can see there's a lot of energy down here, which is basically where the fundamentals are. And there's a lot of sound up here. These are harmonics. And this is where your formants are. And that's how your ears can say, hey, that high note was sung by a adult male. It's kind of straining to get up there, whatever. Maybe singing it well, as opposed to a adult female or a small child. The vocal cords are different. The size of the throat is different. All these things are different. And that's how our ears tell us what's going on. The same with a high note on a cello versus that same note on a violin. A sensitive ear can certainly perceive that because they have different harmonics going on. They have different formant. The goal of keeping formants changing with the note so that it will imply the same instrument was playing it is basically shaping your harmonics. So, Logic has some pretty intelligent information going on here. Now, this is not new. We have pitch shifting programs that have been around for a while, right? We have Auto-Tune, we have Melodyne Auto-Tune probably in the late 90s, Melodyne about 2000. So they set the standards. This is the first release in Logic that has it. It's actually pretty darn good for a Dotto release. And the fact that it's integrated works really well. It's really easy for the workflow, and it does a good job, as I've mentioned. So let's play around with this just a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and solo this voice track here, and you'll listen.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
And let me enable flex pitch again. I've got my menu here predicating that it's flex pitch. We're going to go over here, and let's play with the formants. Raise them all crazy. You got the idea. Let's go to a minus 24. Now, we haven't changed the pitch. We've just changed the format, which is essence, changing the instrument. Let's go ahead and double click this back to return to 0. So this is going to affect everything on this track. Each track has its own unique formant track and formant shift settings. So that's kind of how it works there. Let's go ahead and open this up in our audio track editor. Now, let's take a look at a specific note here. Let me find one over here, and we'll explain all this stuff in future videos where I'm going. Let's see about this last note here.
Oh, blues.
Beautiful. So I'm going to take this note, I'm going to raise it up in pitch.
Ooh. Say no blues.
Yeah, let's raise it up a little more.
Say no blues.
Now, format, let's lower it. Probably bring it more to the male voice singing this. And I'm not sure it's material dependent.
This ain't no blues.
Much better. All right, let's drop it way down here.
This ain't no blues.
Okay, we're losing it, obviously. Let's raise it way up. This guy always wanted to sing like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
This ain't no blues.
You can hear where it's going. So that's the basic tenet on it. That the formants which are the harmonics, will change how it sounds, and as if it's the same instrument or a different instrument, if you will, or the same voice or a different voice. Hope you got a tip or trick out of that. Let's go forward, do some editing in the tracks area. Hope to catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. In this video, we're going to play around with the flex pitch that we can do in the work area here. So let's go ahead and have a little fun and get things going. So remember, preferences, advanced tools. If that isn't initiated, you won't get all your features. We need to have flex view turned on. This is not flex turning on and off, only the view. So we've enabled that. Now it's flex a track. Thusly, you can see the look between these two vocal tracks. This one has been flexed, this has not yet been flexed. Talked about our formant parameters over here, our flex mode here, flex pitch from the pop-up menu, which is also the same as our pop-up menu here. Now, before we get too far along, let's go ahead and just listen to a little bit of this.
Gotta make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky. You got nothing to lose. Funky, funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. You got to make it funky, 'cause this ain't no blues.
All right, so you got an idea on it. Just a quick demo. Get some vocals in a project here to play around with. Let's go ahead and take a little closer look. I'm going to go ahead and solo this as well for right now. You can see our wave representation, right? And you can see our bars. This is actually this horizontal, what they call the horizontal zero line, is the perfect pitch. Saying, hey, from that pitch deviation, thusly, we're going down 50 cents, maximum up 50 cents. Everything below the line is flat of true pitch, of perfect pitch. Everything above the line is sharp of perfect pitch. Find that it's easiest just to edit pitch in this area, and there's a lot of ways you can do it. You need to select one of the bars, and you can click and drag. You can see you get your resize pointer. And you get some information. It tells you what the pitch is, your deviation. A sharp. And now notice we've gone to B, and the bar dropped back to the bottom. So you play around with it all you want. Here's A sharp. We're going to drag it down. It dropped to A, and the bar's up on top. Again, 50 cents. It switches to the next pitch. Say, oh man, I screwed everything up. Well, control click. It's kind of in the top or bottom edge of the bar. You should get this menu set to original pitch. Bam. If you click up too high, too close to the center line, I guess it's better definition, you can get something that says set all to original pitch or to perfect pitch. Now, you have your choice of doing things globally like that. You can do multiple pitches at once. And this can be a little bit tricky too sometimes. There, we're getting it. So you can change it all like that. You can go in, attack each note individually or not. You're going to notice, hey, where's our bar there? Where's our bar there? Chances are they're unvoiced sounds, right? Non-pitched sibilants, S's. They are the D at the end of a word like baked, or a T like the end of the word spent. And these are not things that have a pitch quality to them, and that's why Logic's intelligent algorithm has chosen not to give them a pitch shift for you. I'll show you how to go ahead and add bars, but it's best to do this in the audio track editor. So let's go ahead and zoom back out, and let's do some surgical stuff here. I'm going to go control click and say set all to perfect pitch. And let's just listen to it for a second.
Gotta make it funky, funky, put some soul in your shoes.
We'll do an undo and see if you like it better the other way.
Gotta make it funky, funky, put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky, you got nothing to lose.
No reason you can't just attack one note. Say, hey, you're going to sing that in pitch, dang it.
Hey, you got nothing to lose.
Oh, again, out of context, where's the music? How does it sound with it? I mean, these are all things that are important. So let's put it back in. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll leave it original pitch right now.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
In fact, let me kill the harmony part so we can hear this vocal part a little better. And I'll bring up its volume just a skosh in the mix as well.
Gotta make it funky, funky, put some soul in your shoes. Woo.
All right, let's snap it to perfect pitch.
Gotta make it funky, funky, put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky, you got nothing to lose.
And that's basically what you get to do in the work area. Can't shift the notes around, can't do a lot of the really cool stuff that we're going to find out that we can do in the audio tracks editor. And that's going to be coming up on the next video. So I hope you get a tip or trick out of this one. We have a lot of fun coming up. Thanks for watching. In this video, we're going to take a look at the audio track editor's local inspector and see how to manipulate pitch and quantize pitch in this inspector. So to get there, got a region like this, just double click on it. Once you double clicked on it, you'll get this look. And for some reason, if the file tab is selected right in track tab, just go ahead and click over on the track tab to get your correct view. So we want to make sure our flex pitch is enabled here. We have the same menu we've seen in the other videos, and we have our flex view enabled as well. So if you don't have this happening, you won't see any of these things. Once flex view is enabled, you should see the local inspector. If you don't, it's because in view you have hide local inspector. So if we go to show local inspector, you're back. Speaking of inspectors, I hit the letter I, get rid of these over here. We don't need them when we can use the space. And I want to bring this up here because I want to show this information here. There's a little bit of interactivity going on here. So what do we have here? Well, in this view, think of it as a piano roll editor. If you're familiar with that, you have your keys of the keyboard here, Mark C3, middle C. You see the lighter and darker gradients of gray here, shades of gray. So we have C3, B2, B flat or A sharp 2. And these boxes, note boxes, correspond. Those are pitch definitions, basically. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little more here so you can see what you've got. And what this is telling us, for example, without getting into too much detail on this part of it, is that basically we've got this note here is at the pitch C3, as is this one. This one here is at, however you want to think of it, B flat, A sharp 2. So this pitch identification is done by the boxes. And let me change my zoom. You know, sometimes if you're not careful, you end up like this, going, whoa, what happened to everything? So you can grab your scroll bar over here. I use my mouse scroll wheel to bring this stuff in, whichever works for you. So now we've got it going on. Soon videos will spend more time with this. So I'm not going to talk about this area any more than basically what I've done right now. So let's talk about, however, what we've got over here. And let me zoom in a little more. So we have quantization. We have our same pop-up menu that you've seen in other areas of logic, hopefully by this time, with all your choices. So if we want to quantize something, go ahead and select. We can rubber band like this, note regions, and say, hey, I'm going to move these to the nearest 16th note. And they did. Command Z to undo, Shift Command Z to redo. You can see the difference there. Now, if we have selected a note and want to quantize it, we have to go back and hit the Q button here. And you can see that adjusted there. I'll do a Command Z to undo, Shift Command Z to redo. So you can do quantization. You could have selected all and quantized everything simultaneously. You also have a strength here. So this is 100% quantization down to 0, which is basically off. So if we go back and if you look at this guy here, I'm going to go up to 100%. You can see it's snapping spot on. If I go down to 50%, it's basically half the distance of where it was, and this is 0. So moving the note 100% of the distance or a portion therein based on the strength. We also can quantize based on pitch. So we have scales. And this is based on selection as well. I'm going to deselect everything right now. So you can say, hey, I want everything to be, here's my key center. I want everything to be D harmonic minor. So I'm going to go ahead and select these notes. And you can see the boxes highlight. And I'm going to hit the letter Q. And bam, they've adjusted accordingly. So let's listen. And let me go ahead and solo this track.
Gotta make it funky.
And let's go ahead and undo.
Gotta make it funky.
So we got one pitch change different. Now you could grab anything you wanted to. You could select a group of notes and say, hey, you know, I want to do whatever, you know, klezmer. And it didn't change. Those pitches were already apparently part of that scale. So Japanese, probably pentatonic.
Make it funky.
So you can quantize to a specific mode or scale if you want. Or you can take it all off. All right, and that's back to basically to normal. You have pitch correction. Now I want to show you the interactivity between these two windows as well right now. Let me go ahead. I'm going to click in the background here and hit the letter Z, and this is showing me all. And again, I've kind of lost my pitch correction, so here it comes back. All right. And I'm going to hit Command A, and I'm selecting all my pitches, and you can see it light up here. And we did it up here. Basically, we could grab any one of these, and I'll just grab this one here. And let's see if it'll cooperate. There, we're getting it to go. You could center everything to basically a perfect pitch. Okay, I'm going to do Command Z to undo. You can do it here. I can click down here, select all, Command A, pitch correction, and there you go. Same thing as doing it up there, probably a little easier down here. Now, the one caveat I will say is if I'm up here and I select a note and I change it, I'm going down here, do Command A, and do 100%, if you will, or even 50%. It really doesn't send this back to its original. You can modify beyond this, if that makes sense. So this pitch correction is based on whether or not you've adjusted these bars, so it's subservient to bar adjustment up here. Lastly, we have gain adjustment. This is a plus or minus 30 dB. So let's go ahead and let's zoom in a little bit and just check this out. So this can actually be kind of useful. This is again per selection. You could select all and change it. So I'm going to go ahead and click at the background and just select this note right here. And I'm going to boost it, I don't know what. And you can see its gain. So you can go in and edit.
Gotta make it funky.
And let's see if we want it real soft.
Gotta make it funky.
Real easy way to do gain control on your audio. Love this feature. That's basically what we've got over here. You've got a couple of things here that are for your global tracks. It doesn't really concern us. You can show your marker track, and you can do your other global tracks as well. We'll go ahead and close those out, but that's kind of associated with this. So that's how your local inspector works. Hope you got a tip or trick out of that one, and we'll catch you in the next one where we're getting inside and playing with our note boxes and the hotspots. Catch you there. In this video, we have our audio track up here. We open it up in the audio track editor tab, and we've got a view here. Let's talk about our view. What we have here, we have piano roll. Look here with the keyboard here, our pitch lanes going across here. We can select by clicking on one of these notes. We can select all pitches that are involved in that lane. Same pitch. Click in the background here to deselect. You've got a little player up here. This actually solos and loops.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
You've got your waveform. You can long click and adjust it here, so you're resizing it. You have your vertical and horizontal zoom sliders. You can also use key commands or mouse plus keyboard modifiers through that as well. So after Logic analyzes your part, it's going to create these note boxes. And these note boxes, as you mouse over them, have little hotspots, or handles, whatever you want to call them. Logic calls them handles. And these handles give you 6 options. You can affect your pitch drift. And here's your pitch curve, this item coming down this white line. It looks very much like Melodyne. You have over here, this is a pitch curve or pitch drift as it's coming into the note and as it's exiting over here on the top right. We have fine pitch adjustment, okay, which is up to 50 cents in either direction, and then it jumps to a new note. Down at the bottom, we have our gain, which is exactly the same as what our slider did here, except now we can do it at the note itself. You have a vibrato, which straightens out your pitch curve or increases it, and you have your formant shift, which we looked briefly at in the formant video. So what have we got going on here? Well, you can see some of these boxes look kind of half full. And notice, by the way, we've got this interactivity as I select these notes. That's one reason I have this view. So these, if we go up to fine pitch, it says, hey, it's 20 cents off. And Logic is considering, perfectly full box, if you will, such as this, pretty much spot on. What does this one say? So it's 4 cents sharp. All right, so we can adjust these to our heart's content. We can come over here and say, hey, wrong way. Now notice how it's snapped. Okay, our solid is on top. Now our solid is on the bottom because we moved a half step, actually. We can click and hold, get our pitch. We can restore our movement. We can either right click or control click, set to original pitch, bam, we're back. You can also reset to perfect pitch, or set to perfect pitch in this case, and reset your pitch curve if you've modified it. We talked about in an earlier video resetting. Up here I'm control clicking, reset pitch curve, but it didn't make any sense then because we didn't see a pitch curve. If we've modified this pitch curve, we can affect this. You can also control click out here and you can set all to perfect pitch or all to original pitch. So we go all perfect pitch, bam. And let me zoom back out, and we'll just zoom in a little bit so we hopefully toggle our view back on and off. There we go. So you can see these, and I'm going to go in and control click, and I go to all to original pitch. And now you can see some of these, you have the gap indicating they're not perfect. All right, we've kind of talked a little bit about our view. Let's talk about the boxes and what they do. And I'm going to start with this one over here, just for kicks. So as I get close to it, you see we get our hotspots. Again, this is your pitch drift coming into the note, and as the pitch drift leaves. So these are kind of the starting points. And so let's say, let me get a little better view on this. I'm going to change that pitch drift, and let's listen to this first of all.
Gotta make it.
All right, I'm going to just drop this down quite a bit, and so we want to be able to see it. And there we go.
Gotta make it.
Excuse me, that's the gain. Let's not do that. Stay with our intended pitch drift. There we go.
Gotta make it.
All right, so you can see a couple undos will bring us back, or control click reset pitch curve. Brings us back where we were. We can change the tail.
Gotta make it fun.
All right, undo it.
Gotta make it fun.
So you've got some choices on that. Again, we can center our pitch. This is 49 cents, 1 cent off of jumping to a new pitch. So what's its pitch right now? Let's see if we can click and hold. It'll show us D sharp 2. If I lower that one more, it's going to show us D2. All right, so we'll undo. Be careful on that as you get close to those high numbers that approach 50. Now, we have gain as I accidentally grabbed here a second ago, same as grabbing down here. And you can adjust it accordingly. We've talked about that as we did with the slider, and you can see the slider update accordingly. Now again, it would be nice in my mind if we could option click or something somewhere here to get this to go back easily to its 0 point. Now you've got vibrato. So if you want to seriously just kill this pitch, not only can you set it to perfect pitch, but you can take all the motion out of it. We set it to 0.
Gotta make it fun.
So now you've got a very straightened out pitch.
Gotta make it.
All right, undo.
Gotta make it funky.
All right, let's try another one real quick here. Let's take this one and listen to it.
Funky.
And let's kill that vibrato.
Funky.
All right. So we can go perfect pitch on it. We could do all sorts of things if we wanted to. Play around with it. Now the formant, if we drop this down or up, let's raise it up. Quite a big shift.
Funky.
All right, I have it some more.
Funky.
Let's lower it back down. And we'll make him sound like he's Darth Vader or a friend of Darth Vader.
Funky.
All right, so again, the formant changes basically the resonation of it, the harmonics that are created by resonating. And there's a whole video on that, explaining that in detail. Just going to bring this back up. So again, typically if you want it to sound like it's in the same person sang it or the same instrument played it, you need to adjust the formants as you alter the pitch in this kind of way to keep it more natural sounding. So that's basically it with the hot spots. And again, we can control click and say, set all the original pitch. Here we've lost our vibrato. Be nice if there was a function there. We'll go back to 100% if we can find it. There we go. Got our original notes on that. You can change these tails, especially to slide into another note. Excuse me, that's not what I want for the format shift. Let's get the pitch drift.
Funky.
Undo, listen again.
Funky.
So these can be very subtle or very blatant. It's up to you how you need to do your editing. Again, you have the gaps, it means they're less than perfect pitch, they're off perfect pitch, which may be okay, depends on your material. Let's go ahead and I'm going to click in the background, hit the letter C, zoom out. You can see if we zoom out too much, we won't see anything on this. Just kind of the overview with the hotspots. You can do quite a bit with them. Hope you got a tip or trick out of it. Thanks for watching this, and we will catch you on the next one. We are in the audio track editor. We're going to play around with our note boxes and see what kind of fun we can have with them. So, by the way, something I haven't mentioned about this editor is you have, in fact, with all of Logic's, where your zoom sliders are. So you've got them up here, vertical zoom, horizontal zoom. I tend to replicate all that with holding down the Option key and using the scroll wheel on my mouse, or Option and Command and using the scroll wheel on my mouse. So, different ways to get there. What we've got, again, our pitches running across here, our pitch lanes, if you will, helping us identify. We have our note boxes. We've already talked about the hot spots. Let's talk about the note boxes themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in this first little area here. And what we can do with our note boxes, in fact, let's grab this one here. We could do pitch shift. All right, undo to get it back to where it was. And that can be just constrained depending on whether you have your scale quantization set on or not. So it'll snap to your scale quantization. You can move the note earlier in time. You can move it, let me undo. You can move it later in time. You notice it compresses the length of the note. You can specifically address the backside of the note. And a Command Z to undo, or the front side of the note. So this is all flex time built into the flex pitch, basically. A lot of things you can do with that. Now you can also delete these. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. So let's say, for example, we're going to delete this one. And the reason we're going to delete it is, let's say that A, we happen to have made a mistake and deleted it, or Logic didn't actually identify one of your notes as a pitch. You may run across that. So how do we recreate that? Well, it's selected right now, so I'm going to hit the delete key. I could use the eraser tool as well. Hit delete and it's gone. I can recreate it by using the pencil tool. So I'm going to hit the letter T, evoke the pencil tool. Now, the key thing is to draw, first and foremost, in the pitch lane. I know this is a B flat. I'm going to be in this lane with my pencil tool. We're telling Logic what the pitch is, what the basic pitch is on this. And we need to drag from right to left. And this is a pretty easy one to define because it's all by itself. So sometimes you have to try it a few times to miss how tightly things are packed in, such as this one up here. So you can see it got that, but A, it didn't happen at B flat, or first off. So let's go ahead and do an undo. Let's see if I can't do that a little better on here. And let's just try this. There we go. So let's see how that compares, kind of get a visualization on that. Looks pretty darn good, a little more in tune actually. So a couple of redos, and we're back where we were. Does that sound good?
Gotta make it fun.
Sounds basically the same. Okay, so we know how to create it if we've lost it. We can also cut. We can use the scissors tool. Let me go ahead and letter T, gets my menu item here, and we can cut. And there happens to be, I know there's a note change right here. I can just tell by the waveform. And there's another one right here. I can tell by the waveform. Notice how these kind of snap around to better represent the note that we have here. So we had one bar, one note box, if you will, representing potentially 3 notes.
Gotta make it fun.
Now, does it sound any different?
Gotta make it.
Not so much. Okay. What we can do also in addition to that, well, let's go ahead and let's do a couple things. Let's go ahead and I'm going to cut these here again. And let's say, you know, well,
gotta make it fun.
We want to have it back the way it was. So one thing we could do if we've got these cut up, we don't want to do an undo or we're unable to for whatever reasons. Go to the glue tool, select all of them, click on one, and they're back.
Gotta make it fun.
Now you can also cut with the pencil tool, but there's a caveat here. Let me go to the letter T. And that caveat is whatever you click at is what it's going to assign it to. The pitch. We have our pitch lanes, so it's no dummy. So I can go up here and click, and it's going to cut it, and it'll assign a pitch up here. And let me go ahead and change my view just a little bit.
Gotta make it fun.
So that could be good news or bad news for you. Just click down here. We've cut it again.
Gotta make it fun.
All right, you got the drill on this. There's a lot of very musical things you can do with this. I'm just scratching the surface on what you can do with these things. We'll take a look at it a little bit more later on. This is how you work with the note boxes themselves. So within this view, to kind of recapitulate this video and the previous video, we have our hotspots that we've talked about, and we have our note boxes themselves. So 2 ways to manipulate. And going back one video further than that, we have all our quantization information here that we have within our local inspector. So I hope you got a tip or trick out of it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. So we're going to assume that the band has left the building. We have just our part that is the band and just the lead vocals.
Gotta make it funky, funky. Some soul in your shoes. Ooh, funky.
Our goal now is to harmonize some stuff. We can do this fairly easily with flex pitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select the track with the vocals on it. I'm going to go up here and hit the plus sign. And I'll create a new track with duplicate setting. So keep in mind that these are basic raw tracks here. I don't have any reverb, compression, delay, whatever. These would all be carried over. It would just basically duplicate this channel strip. It would make a unique channel strip, a duplicate one, on its own track, and I will copy this file down to it. Now, there may be some advantages editing these tracks in the raw because you aren't going to be affected by compression or reverb. and you'll be able to hear these a little better. So just a thought. All right, so I'm going to go up here, hit plus. Got a new one. Let's call this Vox Dupe. All right. And I already have one down here completed or partially completed, but I just want to go through the process here for you. So now what I do is I simply click this, option click, drag, and drop, and I've created a copy. Now, you could probably work with this as is. They're both making reference to the same audio file, both tracks. My sense is I'm a little cautious. I would make this its own audio file. I'm going to control click here, convert to new audio file, and, you know, dub, something like that. Don't need to change any of this down here. Just hit save, and bam, it's done. All right, so now we can go in and we can start looking at it. So let's go ahead and open it up. I'm using a key command that I've talked about in another video here. I'm using Option W to get into this. And let's see if we can't get a little better sizing on this. So we've got, starting out here, we at the right spot. Let's go ahead and solo this.
Gotta make it funky.
All right, let me change my settings here a little bit to get a little more space in my resolution here. All right, so we've got this.
Gotta make it funky.
We're gonna raise this up. What do we got? We're gonna go up to an E. We'll raise everything up a third here. Common harmony. Both notes here.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
Now, Formants. And let's do it again here. It's the same lick.
Funky, funky.
Harmonize that as well. And let's get it to the right pitch. There we go.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
So I'm going to also lower the formants a little bit here. Grab down here. Maybe try this.
Funky, funky. Put some.
It helps a little bit here. All right, let's hear this. Now, again, these are, untuned raw things. So we'll go ahead and get out of this real quickly. And let's solo both our original and this one now. See how they sound.
Gotta make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo.
Got a little bit of flanging where we've doubled up some things here, same pitch. So anyway, you're getting the idea on this. I can go through this process, figure out what my harmonies are, what notes I want to have kept in this harmony part and what I want to have deleted. And I've actually gone through and done this process down here. So let's go ahead and mute this track here and look at what we have down here and listen to it. So we can kind of come in this way, and so we're basically looking at, let me give you a little better view here. This track here is our original. This is our edited harmony part.
Gotta make it funky.
And let's take mute off here. We'll have better results.
Gotta make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky. You got nothing to lose.
All right, so that's what that sounds like. Well, he gave me a harmony part that I've replicated. So let's see, how is flex pitch? Go ahead and get that off, mute that one, or actually we'll just solo this one. So now this is the harmony part that he did.
Gotta make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky. You got nothing to lose.
All right, let's go back to mine.
Make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky. You got nothing to lose.
Playing around with it, I didn't spend a lot of time. Got a pretty workable harmony part just in the process I showed you. I didn't edit pitch curves. I just slapped them in there and kind of checked that. It was a little bit tough, actually, to be honest with you. I spent a little time.
In your shoes, woo, funky.
And it's still not perfect. I didn't hard quantize these as far as pitch goes or anything. Vocals leaves the building in a huff. Got them for the harmony parts, not to worry. So, simple, easy way to create harmonies. Lastly, let's take a look at, and let me go ahead and get back out here. What I'm going to do is get rid of this little part right here, and bam, bam, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and actually do this one more time. Just want to make sure I'm fresh and clean on this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new track. And I'm going to go ahead and option drag down here, create a new region. Now this region, I'm going to take and I'm going to squash the living daylights out of it pitch-wise. We're getting all the perfect pitch. The reason is I want to convert this to a MIDI track. New feature with Logic. Okay, so option W, my key command right now to open this up. And here's our vocal part right here. And you can look at it this way if you want. And we're going to go up to Edit. We're going to go down to Create MIDI Track from Flex Pitch Data. And there you have it. Let me close the piano roll, and you can see it created a classic electric piano with this information in here. So how good is it? Well, not the best, but you have to snap this stuff to perfect pitch basically in order for it to analyze correctly. So let's go ahead and just solo these two parts, original vocal track and our new MIDI track.
Gotta make it funky, funky, put some soul in your shoes. Woo, funky, funky, you got nothing to lose. Funk.
All right, you get the idea. It's halfway there, 2/3 of the way there, but it's a good start. So if you're not a transcriber, if you can't listen and play, the audio, play it on your MIDI controller, this is going to be a great assist for you. And even for those who can, it maybe gets it accurate enough. It's really all material dependent. So 2 tips, how to create harmonies, how to convert your audio track, your vocal track in this case, into MIDI data. So hope those are going to help you make some great music. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. In this video, I've got 3 tips for you. And the first one is creating a key command to open and close the audio track editor. I think you'll find this useful. It's a simple key command. So let's initiate that. Let's create one. So we're going up to Logic Pro X or Pro 10, key command, edit. Option K does the same thing. Bam, here's our key command window. We're looking for Show Hide Audio Track Editor. You can go up here and just type in audio track, and this should show up just about like this. I assigned option W by clicking on Learn by Key Label, holding down both the option key and the letter W, and that came up. That seemed to be an unused key command in the default setting for the key commands for Logic 10. You might want to try that. Feel free to use your own key command as well. When you get done assigning that, either disable this or get out of the key command window promptly, or both, because if you leave this on and you start typing, you're going to reassign this. All right, let's get out of this. So let's try it. Here we go. Option W, pow, and we're there. All right, just as advertised. Now let's go back out, and for a second I want to talk about, I have an Apple loop here. By the way, new thing in 10 is how it displays stereo files. That's kind of cool, I think, anyway, for me. You can actually see both of them, both sides of your stereo file, and may help you with your editing work. Now, where we're going with this is a loop. We are in, and let me change my look up here real quick. Go back up to Beats and Project. By default, Logic comes in at 120 when you start a new project if you don't change anything, 120 beats per minute, and the key of C. This Apple loop is in the key of G. So what we're talking about is anytime you bring in an Apple loop that is not in the key of your project, you're going to come up with this problem here. So let's go ahead and close the loop browser and take a look at what I'm talking about here. So if I go ahead and open this particular track, which is the loop itself, and we listen to these notes, well, let's just listen to them.
Oh, 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 oh.
Now, let me select one. It's not the same pitch, is it? It's in the original key. This is playing down a 4th. And you may find this annoying as you're editing. So, what can you do? One possible workaround is just break the loop. Simplest way to do this is you can make a copy of this or not. You can always bring it out of your loop browser again. But go ahead and control click, go to convert, and convert to new audio file. This will take this loop, it'll export it or bounce it out, puts it in your, well, I'll show you what it does. Let's just do this. All right, it says, hey, here's what we want to do. All these things. You don't really need to pay attention to any of these except you have to change it to AIFF. That's the only thing. And you give it a significant name. It's in the audio files folder in your project folder. All right, so you can do that. I've already done it. I'm not going to do it again. And bam, it becomes an audio file. The audio file sounds the same. It's taken it's adjusted to the tempo and the key. So let's go ahead and solo this one.
Oh, oh, oh.
And let's go down and solo this one.
Oh, oh, oh.
All right, so this is my converted file. All right, let me go ahead and open this up in the audio track editor. And let's go ahead and play it.
Oh, oh, oh.
And listen to our first note as we click and select. We have consistency in pitch. You may find this an easier way to work. Lastly, you can always convert this back to an Apple loop simply by dragging it over the loop browser, or you can control-click, export, add to loop library. Okay, that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, I just discovered this working on this video. Actually, I didn't see it anywhere in the manual. You may or may not find this useful.
Oh, oh.
Let's go ahead and bring this back. I just want to make sure I'm in the region properly. If you have your MIDI keyboard hooked up, and let me change my look back here to custom because this gives me my MIDI in. All right, in fact, I'm going to move my playhead out of the region. I'm going to go ahead and play a note. And we can see it says D3 here, okay? Here's C3. This note is C3. I'm going to go back into my region. I'm going to hit that D3. Watch this note. I'll even select it so it's a little more obvious. Snaps to that pitch. So you can do instant pitch assignment with your keyboard, and it snaps to the next note. And let's say we want to make this a G. Snap down to a G. Next note, snap down. You get the drill here. So all of a sudden, using your MIDI keyboard, could be a guitar, whatever MIDI controller you have, you can reassign your pitches pretty quickly. So let's listen now. I have no idea if it's musical or not.
Oh, oh, oh.
All right, there you go. So that simple to work with a MIDI controller, reassign your pitches basically instantly on this. 3 tips, hope those help you. Make some good music, and we'll catch you on the next one. In this video, we are talking about possible conflicts that might occur. You're going to get warning boxes toggling between flex time and flex pitch. So let's go ahead and explore those and see what happens when you get them and how you should handle them. And let's go ahead and listen to this vocal track soloed.
Gotta make it funky, funky. But
Now I've taken that track and I've duplicated it, and I've also flex pitched it up a whole step.
gotta make it funky, funky. Put some soul in your shoes. Woo.
And let's say I want to do some work on it, flex time slicing. Nah, in fact, I'm going to hit cancel because probably a better choice for this material would be flex time monophonic anyway. So you get the same window. Do you want to suspend all flex pitch edits? It doesn't matter what flex time mode you evoke, but this is the one I've got. So it's telling me, do I want to switch? And if I do, I'm going to temporarily lose. It's suspending all my flex pitch edits. So when I'm working with flex time, I won't hear these edits. However, once you return to flex pitch mode after you've done your edits, go back to flex pitch, you'll be okay. So let's just check this out. So immediately, let's go back and proof this.
Gotta make it funky.
There's the original.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
You can see we've lost our audio flex edits to be specific. So let's go in and actually do something here. We can actually even just quantize over here now that it's flexed. Let's go ahead and take a look at this a little closer though. You can take one of these modes over here. We can quantize something, and let's say we're going to quantize it in their 16th note, or even 8th note, what the heck. And you'll see some movement across here. You're also going to see a restrain put in by Logic by default. And this Q range says I'm not going to move anything over a 16th. You know, you can try to snap it to the next 8th note if you want, but the maximum distance right now with this default is this. And maybe it's a little more musical. It's up to you to decide on that. So we've got this, and let's really trash this up a little bit. So I'm going to go in here and move a couple of these around. Okay, and now we're going to listen to it real quick.
Gotta make it funky, funky.
Beautiful. All right, okay. So now let's zoom out, and just to make sure we're in the same key,
Gotta make it funky.
albeit with timing differences.
Gotta make it funky.
Okay, when we go back now to flex pitch,
Gotta make it funky, funky.
So we have both our timing edits and our pitch edits now.
Gotta make it funky.
And there's a difference. You can hear the whole step apart. Okay, that's one of the warning boxes you might come up with. You might get another one, and let's create this. Give me just a second to get my view. And I've got a audio drum loop here. And let's go ahead, and right now it's in flex pitch mode. And it's neither here nor there. We can jump into slicing. Slicing is a good flex mode often for drums. And before I get too far along, by the way, notice our constraint here again. Before I get too far along, let's listen to it right now. It's soloed. And I'd like to quantize it. And I'd like to do the 8th note triplet, see if we can get that to work for us. In fact, let's zoom in on this so you can actually see. Let me do an undo. Here's its original. Here's what it looks like now. We should hear a bit of a difference. Great. Okay. So now, let's go back into flex pitch. So here's the deal. It says you want to reapply the time quantization in flex pitch mode because you can do time quantization in flex pitch mode. As this warning says, it can produce different time quantization results than those in flex time mode. So, and it says which may or may not be preferable. So we'll do a little demo here and you can decide for yourself, at least in this instance, if you like it or not. Click OK to reapply time quantization in the flex pitch mode. So it's going to take that quantization, carry it over to flex pitch mode if we click OK. Let's start there. Let's go ahead and listen. You can see things shifted around. So not really what we're looking for. All right, let's go back to slicing. Let's hear if we've got it again, or we might have to trigger it again. We've pretty much broken that. So let's go back in, toggle it around. And there we're back. All right, so we're going to go back to flex pitch. And this time, let's go ahead and we're going to go into revert, which says use the original recorded timing mode. So it should go back to the straight field more than the shuffle, right? So let's go back here and listen. All right, and then the last mode is actually just doing nothing. So let's go in here, let's put our quantization back on. And let's listen. And let's go back to flex pitch. We got our warning. If we hit cancel, it just keeps us in flex time. It won't let us go into flex pitch at that point in time. So there's your choices on that. Let me go back into flex pitch, however, and we're going to revert to original timing. And what I want to show you, which I found interesting when I did this, is that remember when I talked about voice, or rather unvoiced sounds or non-pitch sounds? Well, Logic analyzed this file and it got the pitch of the snare only. These notes are the snare. So let's listen for a second. We can actually tune the snare in this kit. So I'm going to control click and say, for this set to perfect pitch. Let me undo. Let me see if we get an undo. There we go. And redo. So the snare drops in pitch, which I found to be interesting. So instant way to tune a snare in a drum kit. Looks like it works with flex pitch. Okay, one last suggestion for you. And that is, if you're doing these edits, it might behoove you to go ahead and bounce your file if you've done a bunch of flex time edits before you go into flex pitch. Or the converse might be true. Do a bunch of flex pitch, bounce the file to a new audio file. You can do bounce in place. Control click, and let me get out of that. I have to get out of flex mode or flex view here. Now we can control click and get our right menu. And we've got bounce and join. Bounce in place is a great feature. You can give your file a specific name. You can assign it to a new track or a selected track. You can leave the source. You can mute it and leave it. You can delete it. Got a bunch of other choices here. We're just going to go ahead and click OK right now. And you can see it kept the original track and muted this region and created a new track for me, which is a literal replication of that. That's maybe the best way to deal with trying to do flex time and flex pitch on the same file. All right, hope you got a tip or trick out of this. Thanks for watching it, and we'll catch you on the next one.